Hey, what's up you guys? Gavin here. Today we are going to be talking about something a little bit different than music. Today we're going to be talking about movies, specifically PG-13 horror versus restricted horror. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the limits of PG-13 movies. Usually PG-13 movies tend to kind of stay within the box, and they don't really branch out too much, and they try to go there, but they can't. They end up kind of, giving in to the limits of what the movie is, and it kind of makes it just a little bit boring, in my opinion. I don't really find it super interesting to watch, because I can see where it's headed, and then they don't go there. They kind of just say, oh well, we can't actually do that because we gave it a PG, that we went with PG-13. And PG-13 is cool and everything, but it doesn't, for some reason it just takes away from the creativity, in my opinion. With rated R movies, you get to branch out with your genre. There's kind of no limits per se. I've never really seen a movie. I've seen one movie that was specifically, I don't think it was N-17, but it was Cannibal Holocaust was the movie, and it was really it was really gory, and I think when it came out, the director got arrested because it was considered a snuff film at the time, and it kind of really just pushed the totem pole of what exactly you can do with when you just say, you know what, I'm not really going to do this just for the money. I'm going to really try to, take advantage of what human fear is. And I feel like with PG-13, that kind of just gets cut in half completely. Usually, every PG-13 movie I've ever seen, especially this one movie, it was just ridiculous. The acting was ridiculous. It wasn't scary at all. It was just pop out after pop out, and this girl screaming, and that's usually what tends to happen with PG-13 movies. They kind of just look a compilation of screaming and pop outs, and it's rare. The only one that I could think of that doesn't do that is Disturbia, and it does a really good job of pace and setting up the scene and really taking advantage of what minimalist fear, paranoia. They take advantage of paranoia. I think a lot of PG-13 movies could be better if they just, what really scares people at the very least. That's what they kind of need to focus on when they do PG-13 movies. People who have abnormal fears, I would focus on that when it comes to PG-13 movies, because that would be an excellent way to bring out fear. Because if people have a really irrational fear of spiders, Jesus Christ, it's not as bad, but it's scary when I have an idea of how you could really take advantage of what minimalist fears human beings can actually have. So yeah. I just feel like PG-13 movies completely disregard any of what, it means to be a human sometimes. At least in horror movies, they kind of really, people get grossed out. So Okay, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is something that we kind of touched upon, is the gore factor. So yeah, as far as the minimalist goes, there is little to no gore ever in a PG-13 horror movie. If you have one, please, by all means, leave in the comment section of all the gory PG-13 movies. I'd really like to know. Because usually when people have PG-13 ratings, there's only so much you can do with it. Like, you can only cuss this much, you can only show this many body parts, you can only show much this gore, you can only talk about sexual references this much. And if your movie has way too many cuss words, you can't even use, at least, you can't show any, there's no chance for you to show nudes. And if you show a little bit of gore, we might actually take it out. So, even with these limitations, there's limits within the limits of these things. So if your whole movie is focused on gore, you can't even cuss. And literally, if I'm in a situation where I'm scared or someone's getting their arm chopped off, I'm probably gonna say the F word. Or I'm just gonna freak out a little bit. It's the human thing. This is, I don't know, maybe this is why nerds can't make, good movies sometimes, because they just don't, they don't have any regard for what it means to be a human being. And when it comes, they're really good at editing and, taking the shots, but when it comes to actually writing the stuff and really understanding what it means to be a human being, they kind of throw it out the window. So, yeah, gore factor. Literally never seen a horror movie that was PG-13 and had gore. Rated R movies, man, have you ever seen Saw? Like, that movie was literally only gore. Speaking of gore, Cannibal Holocaust was another one, and that was gory. Jesus. Watched the movie the other day called Green Room, rated R. Guy was like getting his arm had there was a part in the movie where he had to give this gun to a person through a door, and he put his arm out through the door, and the guy was like chopping his arm. His arm came off like hanging from his wrist, and it was just like chopped, and it was just bad, and it was horrifying. I think I saw bone. These are just prime examples of what these, how gory, they rated R movies would just throw out gore like it's fucking Christmas. And PG-13 movies can't. They just can't. Not to say that, you need gore, because like I said, Disturbia had, I think, one stabbing. I think the guy hit him in the face once. I think the main character was getting choked out. These are just a couple of examples of how far the violence went and the gore went. The movie just kind of really built up the paranoia around, when you put pieces together of things, even to just your imagination, had it not come true, it was equally as creepy as it was had it not been, manifested. Had it just, the pieces being put together, even if it was not true, was freaking me out. These are prime examples of how PG-13 movies could really, push the bar. We'd set the bar higher for, what fear really can be made of, in my opinion. But yeah, there's almost never any gore. It's usually frightening scenes, like frightening scenarios, and usually those are just, professional words to say we have pop-outs. A lot of pop-outs. Scenes of the girl, she's in the mirror with the moving mirror, and she's looking in it, and then she opens it to grab toothpaste, and then she puts it back, and then there's someone standing behind her. It's not a horror person, it's not a scary person, it's literally her mom. Why is her mom standing behind her exactly like she's about to murder someone? This is a rated R movie. She would have murdered someone, and it would have been called a twist, and it would have been cool. But no, they can't do it because it's just, there's limits. And they gotta make money with their limits. Anyway, okay, this brings me to I guess what all this was kind of leading up to, the quality that the PG-13 horror diminishes completely, in my opinion. Not to totally give all the credit to horror, restricted horror, because I don't want to get started on what they do as far as quality goes when it comes to the restricted. But right now we're going to talk about PG-13. So pretty much, PG-13 horror becomes this really watered down story about how we could have been creative, how we could have done a good job, how we could have made a really awesome movie with a good premise, but we just couldn't because we didn't think things through, or maybe, weighed things out a little bit, like, I wonder if the quality is going to be just a little bit better versus the money we're about to make, because if it's good, the money we'll make will be just as equal. So, I don't know, it didn't really turn out that way, because if your movie does shit, your money is going to do shit. No one's going to want to watch your movie because it sucked. Has anyone ever seen what is it, that movie called? Hell in the Ground, or Drag Me to Hell. Oh my god. That movie was literally being dragged through hell. The movie was literal when it came to who being the audience meant. Anyway, so the quality tends to just kind of run away with everything. Speaking of which, I'm seeing a wasp right now, and I'm terrified that it's going to attack me, and it's not even in the house. It's outside the window. There's my rated R movie. In my eyes, I'm zoomed. The thing is bigger than me. There you go, PG-13 movie, filmmaker. There you go. Zoom in on something awesome. Or not awesome. This idea is awesome. Zooming in on a giant bug, because that's how it feels to whoever it's scaring, would be a great idea for a movie. But no. You don't think about these things, because you literally have no creative outlet or thought. Rant semi-over, because we're still talking about the quality, and I feel sad for every PG-13 movie I've ever seen that's been crap. Ouija, Drag Me to Hell, I don't know, the new Rings, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe it wasn't that bad. I heard it wasn't that bad, but the fact that you have to say that it wasn't that bad makes me feel like I'm being thrown into, like, a meat grinder, because I don't want to have to describe something as not that bad, because that means it wasn't good. It was just in a place. It's like being in a puddle of water. It's not that bad. At least it's not pee. It's just, I still have to clean up mess. So pretty much the quality makes me feel like I should have made a movie myself. I should have just made this movie by myself. I think I could have done an equally good job, and no one would care either, because I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that PG-13 movies that are horror, usually just to go take your date to get a sorry if you're a young child watching this, a blowjob in the theater. It's really all it's there for. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the consistency of PG-13 horror movies. So I had to think about this for a second because I didn't really understand what I was trying to say, but pretty much, looking back on it, there's a lot of PG-13 scary movies out there. It becomes this, like, one, they're so easy to make. It's so easy because they end up just being like these, like, pop-up mashup situation, and usually people go to see these movies because the storyline is good, but you can't have a good storyline if the story is, like, just filled with, there's nothing scary about, someone, I don't know, showing up out of nowhere behind you. That's not entirely scary. I mean, oddly enough, it would scare someone. It does end up scaring the audience, but it lasts for like 2 seconds, and you're sitting there like, okay, this is what I signed up for when I came to a PG-13 movie. Usually, that's what it is. That's what the consistency is. It's just, they're so easy to make, and, like, they always have a good storyline. They always find their way to get their hands on a decent plot, and then they just bomb it the whole time. And it's not the worst thing, because horror movies kind of have a problem too with the fact that we are rated R and we can go there. We can take it to that limit, and then the whole movie just ends up being what they can get away with. The fact that they have a rated R rating. That's the one thing that I don't like about rated R horror flicks, is that they become kind of like, you know, they are just as bad as the PG-13 movies in this aspect, that, you know, we can get away with so much more that even our acting doesn't have to be that good, because we can show his arm getting cut off, and that's so scary when it's literally, it's not. It's gross. I'm grossed out. I'm not scared, but I'm grossed out for sure. Then the acting is just gregarious, and then the like situation, the way it went down, how he got his arm cut off, if it makes me feel stupid, I don't care what the movie is rated, it was dumb. And I feel bad that I paid money to see this, or I wasted my time on this. It's just, it makes me regret my entire life for that 5 minutes of watching it. Oh my god. I'm not gonna name names, but I've watched a movie like this, several movies like this, but this one kinda took the cake for some reason. I don't know, because I just pictured myself handling the situation so much different than how they put it out to be, that it's just, I don't know, I felt really offended. But yeah, pretty much they're just, the consistency of a PG-13 movie is pop-outs, and that they're easy to make because there's no really, you can take a good plot and kind of put together a couple of good scenes for a trailer, enough to draw people in. It's like the whole thing with YouTubers and clickbait. It's like that. Like, you put together a good picture of, and you have a good title, and then they click on the video. Same with people in PG-13 horror movies. You got a good storyline, you got a good trailer, the title's cool, and it draws people in, and then they leave a 4 on IMDb for that movie. And then other people that are actually, you know, they put a little bit of thought into the movies they see these and they're like, I wonder if the fact that this was PG-13 had anything to do with the rating. Yeah. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the budget. So pretty much what I gather from watching these movies with these really kind of, you know, limiting opportunities that the MPAA gives them, is the fact that, okay, so you can't show a lot of gore, you can't cuss, and you can't really do a lot. So they're like, okay, well, that actually saves us a lot more money, because now we don't have to buy syrup, and our actors can't act for real, so they're not gonna actually cuss. And, you know, booby shots, let's do it. Let's do it for the sake of the fact that that's the only thing we could probably get away with, is if we show a little teat here and there, a little bit of teats. And that's when your whole, that's what it is. It's probably low budget, or it's not low budget. It seems low budget. Maybe the camera was probably the most of the budget, because they're usually HD. And maybe that Disney star that they threw in there cost them a little $5,000 extra because she's recognized, and her audience have now gotten old enough to see these rated R, not rated R, these PG-13 movies. So she's gonna draw in a nice audience just for who she is. And I mean, it's cool, it's nice, it's chill, but we can tell that you didn't spend a lot of money on who you didn't spend a lot of money on who you really could have gotten. Could have gotten a really decent actor for, I don't know, less than that. And you know, man, this is not to give too much credit to rated R, because rated R, they will spend all their money on gore and, like, you know, buckets and buckets of gore and all those fake prosthetics, and even the acting is just as horrendous as the PG-13 movies, which is kind of like a catch-22 in my opinion, because you could go see the rated R movie, you know, and maybe get, you know, grossed out, or you can go see the PG-13 movie and, you know, get pop-outs for like 2 seconds. So I would just rather not see any scary movies ever. Go to Netflix. Netflix has a lot of decent like underground scary films, or you could look up like I don't know, top 5 scariest movies. Maybe look up movies like A Mistake for Snuff Films. Cannibal Holocaust was one of the greats. If you really like gore, yeah, you might be in for some craziness. I guess that's pretty much all I gotta say about the budget. I don't really think that the budget really is that much, because even Netflix, even the low budget movies tend to do just as if not better job of creating an atmosphere of fear, an atmosphere, if you will. So, yeah. The budgets are, I don't know. You probably look it up, probably find out those actual facts of how much they spent, and maybe even be more ashamed of why you saw the movie. See, $50,000 budget on a movie that was just filled with pop-outs everywhere. It's like crabs for your eyes. Alright guys, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any other suggestions of maybe topics or movies or music you want me to check out, leave it in the comment section, and I'll be sure to get around to it. If you got any questions also, I don't know, comments, do it. Yeah. Pretty much the point of this was the fact that I had always kind of felt, you know, not a hatred, because that's such a really strong word. Let's try to take that out of the vocabulary occasionally, you know, instead of saying I hate something, be like my strongly dislike. Sounds like you're crushing something with education. You don't have to, but it's a suggestion. But yeah, so I don't really like super hate PG-13 movies, but I find them irritating. Restricted movies aren't exactly my forte either. They just tend to, you know, there's a wider range of good restricted horror movies than there are high range PG-13. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I guess that's it. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.